The sharp clang of the shop bell echoed through timeless watches as the door swung open with force. "This piece is defective," the burly man in a tailored suit barked, slamming a luxury Rolex onto the glass counter so hard Kevin feared it might crack. Kevin, a 32-year-old with kind brown eyes and neatly styled dark hair, took a deep breath, his hands steady from years of handling delicate timepieces. "Sir, I apologize for any inconvenience. Let me inspect it right away." But the customer wasn't having it. His face reddened as he leaned in, voice dripping with contempt. "You think you're some expert? Look at you, all soft and prissy behind this counter. Probably why your shop's struggling. No real man would buy from a guy like you." The words hit like a slap, the slur implied in his tone cutting deeper than any watch spring. Customers nearby turned their heads, whispers starting. Kevin's heart pounded. This wasn't just about the watch. It was about the secret he'd buried since college, the truth that he was gay, that no woman had ever sparked the fire in him that a man's smile could. In San Francisco, of all places, where rainbow flags waved proudly, he still lived in fear because of his family's traditional expectations back in Ohio. His parents called weekly, asking when he'd settle down with a nice girl and give them grandkids. "This is America, not some liberal fantasy," his father always said. The insult hung in the air, and Kevin felt his world tilt. He forced a professional smile, refunded the watch, and watched the man storm out muttering more venom. The shop fell silent except for the soft ticking of hundreds of clocks. Kevin's assistant, Mia, touched his arm gently. "You okay, boss?" He nodded, but inside he was unraveling. That evening, after closing early, he walked the foggy streets of the Mission District, hands in his pockets, replaying the customer's words. At 32, he had built a respected boutique specializing in vintage and custom watches, yet one stranger's cruelty made him question everything. His apartment above the shop felt smaller than usual. He poured a glass of whiskey and stared at the photo on his desk, his parents smiling at his college graduation, proud of the good son they thought they raised. They had no idea he had dated men quietly in college, always ending things before they got serious. Love felt too dangerous when every holiday visit came with questions about marriage. The next morning the bell rang again, softer this time. Kevin looked up from polishing a Patek Philippe and froze. The man who entered was tall, broad-shouldered, maybe 38, wearing a charcoal suit that screamed quiet power. His dark hair was perfectly trimmed, and his blue eyes scanned the shop with genuine interest. "Morning, Harrison Blake," he said, extending a hand. "I heard this is the best place in the city for serious collectors." Kevin shook it, noting the firm grip and the subtle cologne that smelled like cedar and confidence. Harrison explained he was expanding a chain of boutique hotels and wanted custom timepieces for every suite, a deal that could easily hit 6 figures. Kevin's pulse quickened for reasons beyond business. As they discussed movements, engravings, and timelines, Harrison listened intently, asking smart questions that showed real respect. For the first time in months, Kevin felt seen as a professional, not a target. By the time Harrison left with a stack of catalogs, Kevin realized he was smiling, really smiling. He texted his best friend Alex, "Weird day. Got yelled at by a bigot, then maybe landed the deal of a lifetime." Alex replied instantly, "Come over tonight. We need to talk." Kevin closed the shop wondering if the universe was finally balancing the scales. He had no idea how much his life was about to change, or how deeply the man named Harrison would reach into the parts of himself he had kept locked away for years. The city lights blurred through the fog as he walked home, the ticking of watches still echoing in his ears like a countdown to something inevitable. Alex lived in a cozy apartment in Hayes Valley, walls covered with framed concert posters and photos of their college days. When Kevin arrived with a bottle of wine, Alex pulled him into a hug that felt like safety. "Tell me everything," he said, pouring 2 glasses. Kevin recounted the customer's insult word for word, then described Harrison's visit. Alex's eyes widened. "Harrison Blake? The hotel guy? Dude, he's kind of a legend, and openly gay. I've seen him at fundraisers." Kevin nearly choked on his wine. The possibility hadn't crossed his mind during their meeting. All he remembered was the way Harrison's laugh had filled the shop when Kevin explained the history of a particular Omega C master. They had talked for over an hour, business turning personal without either noticing. Harrison had mentioned growing up in Chicago with immigrant parents who pushed him hard, and Kevin had shared how his own parents still sent him Bible verses about God's design for marriage. The conversation had felt natural, easy. The next afternoon Harrison returned, this time in jeans and a leather jacket that made him look less like a tycoon and more like someone Kevin could picture sharing coffee with on a Sunday morning. "I couldn't stop thinking about that vintage Rolex you showed me," Harrison said, leaning on the counter. They spent the afternoon discussing designs for the hotel project. Kevin sketched ideas on paper, their heads close, shoulders occasionally brushing. When Harrison's hand lingered near his while pointing at a drawing, Kevin felt electricity he hadn't allowed himself in years. "You've got real talent," Harrison said softly. "Not just with watches, with seeing what people really want." The compliment landed deep. That evening they grabbed dinner at a small Italian place nearby. Strictly business, Kevin told himself. Yet when Harrison asked about his family and Kevin opened up about the pressure to be the perfect straight son, Harrison listened without judgment. "My parents eventually came around," he said quietly. "Took time, but they did. You deserve that too." Days blurred into weeks. The contract for the hotel watches was signed, and Harrison's team began visiting the shop regularly. Kevin found himself looking forward to every meeting. One Friday night, Harrison invited him to a private event at one of his new hotels, a soft opening for investors. Kevin hesitated, then accepted. Standing on the rooftop terrace overlooking the bay, lights sparkling below, Harrison handed him a glass of champagne. "To new beginnings," he toasted. Their eyes met longer than necessary. Kevin's heart raced. Later, walking along the Embarcadero, Harrison stopped under a street lamp. "I like you, Kevin. More than just business. If that scares you, tell me now." Kevin swallowed hard. The secret he had guarded so fiercely suddenly felt too heavy to carry alone. "It doesn't scare me," he whispered. "It terrifies me, but in a good way." Their first kiss happened right there, soft and tentative, the city humming around them like a promise. For the first time in his adult life, Kevin felt completely seen. Yet joy always came with shadows. His mother called the next morning. "Your cousin Sarah is getting married next month. You should bring a date. Maybe that nice girl from church I told you about." Kevin lied about being too busy with the big deal. Guilt settled in his chest like a stone. Alex warned him gently. "Just be careful. Not everyone handles this stuff well." Kevin nodded, but he was already falling. Harrison texted daily, sent flowers to the shop with notes that made Mia tease him relentlessly. The business partnership flourished, orders poured in. Kevin hired 2 more watchmakers and started dreaming bigger. Life felt possible, until the night he ran into the rude customer again at a charity gala Harrison had invited him to attend. The gala was held in the grand ballroom of Harrison's flagship hotel. Kevin wore the tailored suit Harrison had insisted on buying him, feeling both elegant and exposed. They arrived together but kept a professional distance in public. Kevin wasn't ready to be out, not yet. Harrison understood, squeezing his hand once in the elevator before the doors opened. Inside, crystal chandeliers sparkled, and the crowd mingled with glasses of expensive wine. Kevin spotted the customer almost immediately, the same burly man from the shop, laughing loudly near the bar. Their eyes met. The man's face twisted in recognition, then disgust. He whispered something to his companions, and laughter followed. Kevin's stomach dropped. Harrison noticed immediately. "You know him?" Kevin nodded, voice tight. "He's the one who insulted me that day." Harrison's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "Stay with me. He's nobody." They tried to enjoy the evening, but the damage was done. The customer approached during dinner, drink in hand, voice loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Well, if it isn't the little watch boy playing dress-up. Found yourself a sugar daddy, huh?" The table fell silent. Kevin's face burned. Before he could respond, Harrison stood slowly, all 6'2" of quiet authority. "That little watch boy just secured a multi-million-dollar partnership with my company. His craftsmanship is in every one of my hotels. You, on the other hand, just embarrassed yourself in front of half the city's elite." The customer opened his mouth, then closed it, speechless for the first time. Murmurs rippled through the room. Harrison placed a protective hand on Kevin's shoulder. "Come on. Let's get some air." Outside on the terrace, Kevin shook with rage and shame. I'm sorry you had to see that. Harrison cupped his face gently. You have nothing to apologize for. He's the one who should be ashamed. That night, they went back to Harrison's penthouse. No pressure, just quiet conversation and the safety of being held. Kevin cried for the first time in years, releasing years of hiding. Harrison listened, then whispered, You're safe with me. Always. The next week, the story spread quietly through business circles. The customer's company suddenly found itself excluded from several high-profile events. Harrison never bragged, but Kevin knew he had made quiet calls. The deal expanded. Harrison wanted Kevin's designs in all future properties nationwide. Kevin's shop buzzed with new energy. Yet the high didn't last. Alex called one evening, voice hesitant. Your parents saw a photo from the gala online. Someone tagged you. They're asking questions. Kevin's blood ran cold. The photo showed him and Harrison standing close, Harrison's hand on his back, innocent to most, but unmistakable to anyone who knew. His mother's next call was tearful. Kevin, tell me it's not true. That man, is he your friend? Kevin couldn't lie anymore. Mom, I'm gay. I've always been gay. The silence on the line lasted forever. Then his father's voice cut in, angry and hurt. We didn't raise you like this. Come home. We'll fix this. Kevin hung up shaking. Harrison held him through the night, promising they would face it together. But Kevin wondered if love was worth losing his family. The following weekend, Kevin flew to Ohio alone. Harrison offered to come, but Kevin needed to do this himself. The family home looked exactly as he remembered. White picket fence, American flag waving. His mother hugged him tightly at the door, eyes red. Dinner was tense. His father barely spoke until dessert. That photo. People at church are talking. What are we supposed to tell them? Kevin's voice trembled but stayed firm. Tell them your son is happy. That he's in love with a good man who respects him. His father slammed his fist on the table. Love? This is confusion. You're throwing away everything we taught you. His mother cried quietly. Kevin's younger sister, home from college, stayed silent but squeezed his hand under the table, a small lifeline. He left the next morning with his father's parting words ringing in his ears. Don't come back until you're fixed. The flight home felt endless. Harrison met him at the airport with flowers and a quiet understanding that needed no words. You were brave, he said simply. Back in San Francisco, life moved forward, but the rift with his family created a constant ache. The business deal reached new heights. Harrison's team announced a national rollout, and Timeless Watches would become the exclusive supplier. Kevin worked late nights designing, pouring his emotions into every piece. Harrison surprised him one evening with tickets to a watch fair in Geneva. We deserve a break, he said. In Switzerland, away from everything, they walked cobblestone streets hand in hand openly for the first time. Kevin felt free. One night in their hotel overlooking the lake, Harrison got down on one knee, not with a ring, but with a custom watch he had secretly commissioned. This is for all the time we're going to spend together. Marry me when you're ready. No pressure, just a promise. Kevin said yes through tears. The moment felt like victory. Yet returning home brought new challenges. A former employee leaked old photos of Kevin from college parties where he had been less careful. Social media exploded. Some customers canceled orders, calling the shop woke. Kevin's confidence wavered. Harrison stood by him publicly, posting a statement on his company's accounts. Love and excellence have no gender. Timeless Watches represents the best of both. Support poured in from the LGBTQ community and progressive clients. Sales actually increased. But the betrayal from the former employee stung. Kevin confronted him over the phone. Why? The man's answer was cold. You got everything I wanted. The big deal, the attention. Kevin hung up, feeling the weight of how fragile trust could be. Harrison reminded him gently, not everyone can handle someone else's success. You've grown beyond them. Kevin nodded, but the scar remained. The national launch party for the hotel collection was held in New York. Kevin flew in with Harrison, nerves buzzing. His sister surprised him by showing up unannounced. She had flown in secretly to support him. Mom and Dad don't know I'm here, she whispered, hugging him. The ballroom glittered with influencers, journalists, and industry leaders. When Kevin took the stage to speak about the watches, his voice shook at first. Then he saw Harrison in the front row, smiling proudly. These timepieces represent more than luxury, Kevin said. They represent the courage to be exactly who you are, no matter what the world says. The applause was thunderous. Later, during the cocktail hour, Harrison's parents approached, warm, accepting people who had flown in from Chicago. They embraced Kevin like family. "We've heard so much about you," Harrison's mother said. "Thank you for making our son so happy." The contrast with his own parents hurt, but it also healed something. That night in their hotel suite, Kevin received a text from his mother, the first since Ohio. "We saw the launch online. You look confident. We're proud of your success, even if we don't understand everything." It wasn't full acceptance, but it was a crack in the wall. Kevin cried in Harrison's arms. The next morning they returned to San Francisco stronger. The shop was thriving. Kevin promoted Mia to manager and started a scholarship program for young LGBTQ watchmakers. Harrison proposed officially at the shop after closing. Same custom watch, but this time with a simple platinum band hidden inside the case. Kevin said yes again, this time without hesitation. They celebrated quietly with Alex and a few close friends. Alex raised a glass. To the guy who turned an insult into an empire and found love along the way. Yet one final test waited. The original rude customer, now humbled by lost business opportunities, showed up at the shop one quiet afternoon. He stood awkwardly at the counter. "I was wrong that day," he said, voice low. "What I said was unforgivable. I saw the launch. Your work is incredible." Kevin studied him for a long moment. Forgiveness didn't come easily, but growth demanded it. "Thank you for saying that. The watches are still here if you ever want one. No hard feelings." The man left speechless once more, but this time with respect. Kevin locked the door and leaned against it, breathing deeply. Harrison walked in from the back office, having overheard. "Proud of you," he said, pulling Kevin close. In that embrace, all the years of hiding, the pain, the fear, they finally felt worth it. 6 months later, the wedding was small and intimate, held at Harrison's cliffside home north of the city. Kevin's sister attended, along with a handful of friends. His parents sent a card, not present, but the message read, "We love you. We're trying." It was enough for now. Kevin stood under an arch of white roses overlooking the Pacific, wearing a watch Harrison had engraved with their initials and the date they first kissed. When Harrison walked down the aisle, eyes locked on his, Kevin felt the last piece of his identity click into place. The vows were simple and honest. "I promise to love you through every tick of the clock," Harrison said, voice steady. "Through family storms and business battles and quiet mornings when the world feels too loud." Kevin replied, "And I promise to keep showing up as my true self, because you taught me it's safe to." They kissed as the sun dipped into the ocean, golden light bathing everything in warmth. Life after the wedding settled into a beautiful rhythm. They split time between the city apartment and the Cliff House. Kevin expanded the shop into 3 new locations, each featuring a small gallery of LGBTQ artists. Harrison's hotels received awards for design, the watches praised in every review. On their first anniversary, they returned to Geneva, walking the same streets hand in hand, no longer hiding anything. Kevin's mother called more often now, asking gentle questions about Harrison and even requesting photos of the dogs they had adopted. Progress was slow, but real. Alex remained their closest friend, now dating someone steady himself. The betrayal from the past felt distant, a lesson rather than a wound. One quiet evening on their deck, watches ticking softly inside the house, Kevin turned to Harrison. "Remember the day that customer insulted me?" Harrison smiled. "Best thing that ever happened to us." Kevin laughed softly. "Yeah. Who knew a slur could lead to this?" They sat in comfortable silence, the ocean whispering below. Kevin had searched for identity, fought for love, and found acceptance, not just from the world, but from himself. The journey had been painful, beautiful, and entirely his own. True or false, family acceptance is essential before you can truly embrace your own happiness and love.